examined what works to make sure kids stay out of gangs and out of jail and grow up to be responsible adults. But first, a look at what it's like to be brought up in a neighborhood infested with gangs. Gangs on the lookout for new recruits. LAPD Lieutenant Ryan Whiteman patrols Boyle Heights. He gave us a tour.
Hollenbeck's gangs, because there's so many, the gangs are literally on top of each other, which obviously causes turf wars.
That's 34 street gangs in a 17-mile radius, patrolled by Hollenbeck LAPD officers. Roughly 18 of those gangs mark their territory here in Boyle Heights, says Whiteman. He's been with the LAPD for over 2 decades, mostly working in gang suppression.
This is Premier Flats neighborhood, so they're one of our more active street gangs. So you can see the graffiti there. This Barrio Premier Flats and the arrow down saying that they're down to gangbang, basically.
Whiteman says gangs tag neighborhoods to establish their turf.
That is a component for them to instill that fear and intimidation within the community. So anything we can do to try to get it taken down as quick as possible, we do.
But officers need to know what gang tagging looks like in the first place. Whiteman points out a wall where the gang MC Force crossed out tagging from rival gang East LA 13.
If you see this as an officer, what do you think's coming?
For the officers that work here at Hollenbeck in the gang unit, they would photograph it, share that information with patrol officers to say, look, we have some crosshatch over here. If we could deliver some extra patrol, that way we could try to stop any kind of retaliatory violence.
Violence ranging from robberies to murders and everything in between.
We've had, unfortunately, people get duct taped to chairs, electrocuted, beaten with pipes.
Whiteman says gang violence and intimidation are a part of life here.
Many of these gangs started out in the 1940s and 50s with the Zoot Suit riots.
A series of violent clashes when mobs of U.S. servicemen, off-duty police officers, and residents fought against Mexican-American youths and other minorities in L.A.
They started more as clubs, and then they've emerged throughout the years, and they're more of a money-making operation with the influence of the Mexican mafia, sales of narcotics, human trafficking, trafficking of weapons.
A culture that's rampant in Boyle Heights. Another gang, called CAM, made their presence known here by marking up this wall.
It seems like the biggest tagging we've seen.
This is a big one. CAM usually will take whole sides of buildings, and this is the main corridor where they usually tag. So you'll see KAM, and then the ES is east side, because we're on the east side. Free somebody, someone must be in jail, so they want them freed.
Standing here in the street corner, it looks like a typical afternoon with residents walking around. Whiteman says locals aren't typically targeted by gang members because they aren't seen as threats. But that doesn't mean they don't get caught up in the violence.
I think the more dangerous thing is for them to be an innocent victim of a crime.
Like they're just caught.
Yeah, and the kids are here, or the family members that aren't involved in any way, they get caught and they're victimized now.
Gangs can damage the community in other ways.
Do you ever see gang members blatantly recruiting kids out in the open? Or is it...
After schools, you'll have gang members hitting kids up, trying to pressure them into joining gangs. Junior highs are extremely vulnerable. That's when they start trying to lure them in, whether it's through, hey, you do this, we'll give you $20, you do this, and they start luring them in, bring them into part of their family unit.
Whiteman says gang-related crime in the Hollenbeck patrol area has gone up by 7% over last year. He says it's because of warring rival gangs and an internal power struggle inside the El Sereno street gang.